There is no denying that stealth games are a dime a dozen, so it's refreshing when a game like Assassin's Creed comes along with some cool new ideas. In Assassin's Creed, you play as Altair, an assassin during the Crusades. After making a bad judgment and disgracing the Assassin Code, you are forced to redeem yourself by assassinating 9 corrupt officials. Before each assassination, you are told the city in which the target is located. After that, it's your job to travel to the city to find out information about the target to determine the best way to strike. You find out about the target by completing missions around the city. Missions include pickpocketing people, doing informers' dirty work, eavesdropping on a conversation, or interrogating people who know more than you do.
This we agree, so speak and I may stay my blade. What is it your master intends? Why destroy all this knowledge?
There are a couple side missions as well, such as saving civilians who are being attacked by guards, and climbing viewpoints to unveil extra parts of the map. Neither of these are completely necessary, but help out when you're trying to escape after the assassination. Unfortunately, most of the assassination targets are not that much harder to take down than regular guards, making that main event you've been building up to for so long seem pretty uneventful at times.
Please, don't.
After the target is down, and they finish telling you their life story, you can either run like hell or stay and fight. The sword fighting uses a block and counter system, allowing you to fight multiple enemies at once. The system is unique, but can become very repetitive, especially in fights with up to 30 enemies at once. The best thing about Assassin's Creed is its presentation. The Middle Ages are recreated here almost perfectly. The buildings are filled with a ton of detail, and the cities feel very alive with civilians. Graphics are also pretty solid, with only a few aliasing issues holding itself back. The sound fits the setting perfectly as well, with a mix of Middle Eastern instruments and sounds filling the soundtrack. The voice acting is really well done also, but a lot of the dialogue is boring, and without the ability to skip any of it, it makes you want to go make a sandwich every time someone starts to rant.
Driven mad by the knowledge that his death approaches, he has sealed the docks district.
The dialogue can also be really repetitive. In fact, repetition is the only real problem I have with the game. Unfortunately, it's a huge problem. During every assassination investigation, you do the same missions over and over again. At times it seems like the developers were going out of their way to be repetitive, even hiring separate voice actors to read the exact same lines of dialogue.
It's good you came along when you did. Another minute and they would have made off with me. Good you came along when you did. Another minute and they would have made off with me.
This repetition ruins all hope of this game ever having any replay value. Not only will you most likely not want to play it a second time, but even I found myself bored of it halfway through. Not to mention that the game can have a tendency to frustrate you to no end. Throughout the city there are beggars who are constantly in your way when you're trying to get somewhere.
All I ask is for a few coins.
And worse yet, drunken lepers who decide to push you at the most inopportune times, almost always blowing your cover and causing you to fail the mission you have already retried a dozen times. This all being said, Assassin's Creed is not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. You shouldn't completely overlook it, but I'd recommend stocking up on a couple extra throwable objects and renting it rather than buying it.
Share my concern. What I do for Acre! Oh!
For the latest video game reviews, money-saving promotions, and to learn about upcoming Gamer Lounge events, visit thegamerlounge.net.